this section, we'll focus on the detail of an individual task. As with the task list at the top of the screen, there's a significant amount of metadata related to that individual task to allow users to track and monitor the various data elements that may be relevant to that individual or to the organization. Before we get to the elements at the top of the screen, however, I like to start at the bottom of the screen with the three main boxes you see here: discussions, documents, and audit trail. When designing Proxy and when seeking user feedback, one of the things that we heard quite often from users or prospective users is that when managing a legal project, it was not the communications that mattered to that individual user. It was not the documents or the history and current status. It was all of those things. But for most users within corporate legal departments and law firms, that information may be stored in multiple different systems: email, Slack, or other communications tools, even text sometimes. Documents may be found, again, in email, in contract management systems, in document management systems, and across shared network drives. An audit trail, or the history associated with that particular item or matter or task, might be stored in spreadsheets, might be in email again, might be all over the place. And so what we sought to do in developing the product is to bring all of those key areas of information into one place and display them side by side, making it easier for users to monitor the discussions or the communications that were ongoing about that particular task or workflow or project, the documents associated with it, and the history and current status. And so that's what you see here. In the discussion thread, it's worth noting that the lighter gray that is left aligned are messages that are internal for those individual users. What that means is that these messages will be seen only by users who have access to this individual task, not to any others. As I scroll, however, you can eventually see that there are some additional right-aligned darker messages. These are messages that are sent to users or individuals that are non-users of the system outside of Proxy. This allows you to monitor your communications and know whether you're talking to your team or to some other stakeholder, vendor, or other outside party, so that you can share only appropriate information in each message. It also allows the individual user to choose to whom they're speaking and without losing control or splitting threads, so that information about the individual task is caught in, for example, different email threads or email chains. Documents can easily be uploaded to the system simply by clicking the small plus and dragging and dropping, or browsing to a shared environment or your desktop. And in certain instances, this is an example of a Google Docs integration, but again, Proxy is easily integratable. So this could be a way of linking to a contract management solution, to OneDrive, to iManage, to any number of other third-party tools or other locations where documents may reside without having to live in Proxy specifically. Documents in this list are those associated with the task and can easily be downloaded and viewed or linked to in other locations. Every time any action within the system gets caught in the audit trail and will be tracked for all users to see. At the top of the screen now, as we get back to this main metadata, as you will see, this is the name of this individual task. By double-clicking it, you can change that, delete the name and start over, or simply allow it to stay. At the top, you have this small breadcrumb trail. This is an indication that this task is not ad hoc. It is part of a more formalized workflow and project. So here we see that this computer, email, and internet usage policy is part of a technology policies workflow, which resides in an employee handbook project. The user can easily change the designation of importance from high, medium, or low. They may change the date in which the task is due, or the task may be open-ended and have no due date at all. Users may also set start dates, or they may set dependencies whereby they determine that some other task must be completed before the beginning of this, or after this task is completed, the user should then move on to another task in the system. This is for typical process or project management. Think of it like a Gantt chart where you would normally see tasks aligned in a certain type of flow or linear or hierarchical process. Each task can be assigned to a user group. This is important. Each task within the system will generally, unless a user is an administrator, be viewable only to the user that creates that task, to whom that task is assigned, or where the task is assigned to a group of which the user is a member. So these groups will allow other users access to this individual task. Users can also define custom tags within the system. These are fully customizable based on each organization or each user's needs with Proxy. So when tagging any individual task, the user may select from those which already exist within the system, or a user may simply add any new tag. For example, here I could add internet, since this is an internet use policy, and create that tag, which will now be maintained within the system and available for all users across the platform. There's also a privilege log, which will allow users to indicate whether the matter is attorney-client, work product, or confidential. And then lastly, this little triangle at the top provides some key useful information. Each user can identify what the status is. These are generally verbs, action words. So draft, review, revise, research, approve, negotiate. These are customizable for each individual organization. At the top here, you see that this task is assigned to me. I could reassign it to another user if I so choose, which would then make this the responsibility of that user. I won't do that right now, but note that tasks generally are assigned to groups or an individual user. This is because we want someone or some group to take responsibility of it and to shepherd it through to completion of that individual task. And then here is simply a slider which shows how far in the process that individual user indicates the task is relative to completion. So here you can see this task is assigned to me, I am drafting, and I say that I'm 80% complete. Last but not least are some buttons up here at the top. This button that looks like a paper airplane is one of the features that users love and hate the most. It is a ping. Clicking this button will send an email to that individual user asking for a status update. Users love to send pings. They prefer not to receive them. And then last but not least is this mark as done, which basically will indicate that that task or the user's work on that task is complete. That will take it out of the active system and put it in the archive along with other completed or archived tasks.